The sea has always spoken in whispers, carrying secrets older than time itself across endless waves. Listen closely, and you may hear voices hidden in the rhythm of the tides, soft yet eternal. Sailors of old believed the ocean was alive, a vast heart beating beneath the shimmering blue. They told tales by firelight of gods and thrones, of kingdoms unseen yet felt in every tide's pull. Among these stories, one legend shone brighter than all: the eternal throne of Poseidon. It was said to rest in the deep, where sunlight fades into silence and mysteries dwell unseen. No warship has found it. No diver has touched its coral seat or pearl-studded crown. The throne was not forged for conquest, but for balance, for harmony between sea and humankind. Close your eyes now, and let the ocean guide you. Let the waves pull you into its timeless embrace. For tonight, we dive into myth, into memory, into a story that flows like water itself. The sea calls to us not with thunder, but with patience, with an invitation to listen. This is the journey to the sea-eternal throne of Poseidon, where wonder waits beneath the tide. The ocean begins with a hush, a breath that rolls across the waves and carries a story through time. Each tide holds memory, each ripple a fragment of something greater than any mortal can contain. Long ago, when maps were blank and horizons endless, sailors leaned into the wind and listened. They swore the sea itself spoke, not in words, but in murmurs carried on foam and salt. The whispers curled around their sails, telling of distant lands, hidden treasures, and unseen realms. Some said it was merely the voice of waves breaking, a trick of mind in lonely journeys. Others swore it was divine, the ocean's spirit calling out to those brave enough to wander. In these whispers, one tale rose above all others, repeated from shore to shore like a hymn. It was the legend of the eternal throne, a seat woven from coral, pearl, and crystal light. The throne was not just an artifact, but a promise, a bond between the sea and humanity. Fishermen spoke of hearing it in storms, a rhythm beneath thunder, steady, unbroken, eternal. Merchants claimed the tale gave them courage as waves roared, reminding them they were not alone. Children dreamed of it as they watched the horizon, where sky bent low to kiss the sea. For the throne was said to rest beyond reach, yet its presence touched every drop of water. In every river that joined the sea, in every tear shed upon a shore, it lingered unseen. The throne was not guarded by chains, nor hidden by cruelty, but veiled by the ocean's own soul. Only those who listened with patience, with humility, could ever hope to sense its presence. The sea's whispers guided them, soft as lullabies, stronger than any compass drawn by hand. One sailor once claimed he heard his name sung by the waves as dawn broke over calm water. Another swore the moonlight revealed shadows of pillars deep below, flickering like candles in blue. These stories grew, carried across harbors, embroidered into songs, carved into the hearts of wanderers. And though no proof ever surfaced, the legend lived, as real as the tides themselves. The throne was not built to be found, but to remind, a message in the language of waves. It told of balance, of respect, of the bond between humankind and the endless deep. It whispered that every voyage was part of a greater cycle, returning always to the beginning. The sea never shouts its truths, never forces its secrets. It only waits for listening hearts. The throne was said to glow softly, even in the deepest night, a beacon unseen by greedy eyes. Those who sought it with desire returned empty, their nets full of nothing but silence. Those who sailed with reverence carried back a gift, not gold, but peace carved into memory. To hear the whisper was to be changed, to feel the ocean as more than water or storm. It was to know the sea as eternal, vast, and yet intimately tied to the soul of mankind. And so, the tale of the eternal throne endured, spoken softly wherever waves kissed the land. Even now, as you listen, the ocean's hush drifts in the background, quiet, patient, eternal. Perhaps, if you close your eyes, you too might hear the whisper, faint but steady in the tide. It is the voice of memory, the voice of balance, the voice of Poseidon's unseen throne. A throne not to be claimed, but to be honored, resting forever beneath the sea's endless embrace. In the beginning, before men carved ships from wood, the sea stretched endless, wild, and untamed. It was then that Poseidon, lord of waves, shaped a throne to anchor his bond with the deep. He chose no gold, for metal fades, no iron, for it rusts, but treasures born from the sea itself. He called upon coral, grown strong yet graceful, bending with currents, but breaking for none. Pearls he gathered, not as ornaments, but as symbols of patience, each formed drop by drop. From the heart of the ocean, he drew crystals, shimmering with light as if stars fell beneath water. With these, he wove a seat not of dominion, but of harmony, a throne both fragile and eternal. The sea creatures came to witness, from smallest fish to great whales, who sang in reverence. They circled the throne, their voices rising, a hymn carried far through tides and caverns. Dolphins leapt in joy, jellyfish glowed softly, and even the silence of the deep stirred awake. Poseidon raised his trident, not to command, but to bless the ocean and all who dwelled within. He declared that the throne would not bind him to power, but remind him of his duty. A duty to balance storm and calm, depth and shore, fear and wonder. Thus the throne was set in the deepest chamber, hidden where light fades, yet life thrives. It became the heart of his palace, not as treasure, but as a compass guiding sea and God alike. Legends tell that when Poseidon sat upon it, waves stilled as if listening to his thoughts. When he rose, the sea swelled, not in anger, but in rhythm with his stride. The throne carried not weight of conquest, but weight of remembrance, of what the ocean meant. It stood as bridge between worlds, a promise that man and sea could live not as enemies. For Poseidon knew men would one day sail farther than horizons, seeking what lay unseen. And so he shaped the throne to endure, a reminder long after his footsteps faded into myth. It was said he carved markings upon it, not words, but patterns echoing tides and moon cycles. Those who glimpse it in dream claim the carvings pulse softly, like a heartbeat of the sea. The throne glows not by light, but by memory, carrying whispers of every tide that ever was. Some say its pearls hold the laughter of dolphins, its coral the wisdom of ancient turtles. Others believe the crystals store the reflection of the first sunrise over water. Whatever truth lies within, the throne is more than object. It is story made solid, a story of patience, strength, and a god's vow to cherish the realm he calls his own. The ocean does not forget, and neither does the throne, standing silent through endless centuries. When storms rage above, the throne does not shake. When ships vanish, it endures untouched. It listens, it remembers, it holds balance when chaos churns upon the surface. To some, it is a myth. To others, a dream. But to the sea, it is breath and soul. For as long as the ocean lives, so too will the throne, eternal in coral and pearl. And as long as the throne remains, so too will the bond between sea and humankind. Close your eyes, and you may feel it now. resting steady beneath miles of living water. A throne not for kings of earth, but for the god of tides, eternal guardian of the deep. This is the origin of the eternal throne, a promise carved into the very bones of the sea. Beneath the rolling waves lies a realm hidden from mortal eyes, a kingdom carved in silence and light. This is the undersea domain of Poseidon, where currents form walls and the ocean itself is architect. Here, palaces rise not from stone, but from coral that glows like lanterns in the shifting dark. Pearls stud the arches, each shining like a captured moon, their glow guiding wanderers through vast halls. Schools of silver fish drift like banners, weaving through pillars with movements more graceful than silk. The ceilings shimmer with reflected sun, fractured into ribbons that dance across living walls. In these chambers, the throne rests, untouched, its presence steady like the heartbeat of the sea. It is not locked away, nor guarded by spears, but hidden in depth, veiled by patience itself. The halls around it echo not with footsteps, but with the songs of whales and the hum of tides. Manta rays glide across the courtyards, wings stretched like sails, shadows soft against glowing coral. The gates are not doors, but arches of living reef, forever growing, forever shifting, always alive. Every passage breathes, for this kingdom is not built of stone, but woven from the ocean's soul. In its gardens, seagrass sways like forests in wind, and jellyfish float like lanterns at dusk. Starfish cling to jeweled steps, tiny guardians of stairs leading deeper into shimmering blue. The air here is replaced by water. Yet no creature gasps, for this world belongs to them. Turtles glide with slow grace, their shells etched by time, their eyes reflecting wisdom untold. Octopuses curl into secret alcoves, blending with coral, watching as if guarding ancient memories. And in the distance, dolphins spiral upward, their laughter ringing like bells in watery halls. The throne itself rests in the heart chamber, upon a dais of coral grown strong yet delicate. Its pearls gleam softly, as though holding the voices of all who have ever touched the sea. Crystals rise from its base, glowing with inner fire, each shard reflecting a fragment of eternity. It is neither cold nor warm, but alive, humming with the rhythm of tide, storm, and calm. Some say the throne listens, gathering songs from waves, storing them in silence for all time. Others believe it dreams, its glow a reminder of Poseidon's vow to guard both land and water. Legends claim that those who gaze upon it feel their hearts slow, beating in time with the ocean. No greed survives its sight, for the throne radiates harmony, dissolving hunger for power. Even the fiercest shark bows near its chamber, sensing not fear, but reverence in its glow. The sea nymphs gather here, weaving songs that spiral upward, carrying peace through endless currents. They do not worship the throne, for it is not a god, but a promise made visible. Their voices mix with the hum of shells, each note becoming part of the eternal hymn of water. Above, storms may rage, lightning may strike. Yet here the throne remains untouched, eternal, unshaken. It has no crown upon it, no jewels to tempt, only the radiance of balance and memory. And though mortals cannot touch it, they feel it whenever they stand before the sea in silence. It is in the pull of the tide at their feet, in the calm before dawn, in the hush of waves. The hidden kingdom exists not for conquest, but for wonder, to remind the world of its bond. This is the secret palace beneath the blue, a realm both fragile and eternal, breathing with the sea. And at its center, the throne waits, not empty, not forgotten, but alive, eternal in its stillness. Far from the roar of storms, on a quiet coast, a child grew with dreams larger than the horizon. This child was not born of kings, nor blessed by riches, but carried a heart restless for wonder. Each morning they watched the sea, eyes wide, waiting for secrets to rise from the shifting blue. While others built nets or mended sails, the child listened, believing the waves whispered stories. At night, the wind sang through shells they held close, each note a promise of worlds unseen. The village laughed kindly, calling them a dreamer, their head lost in tides and stars. But the child did not mind, for in every ripple they sensed something vast, something eternal. The tales of sailors were not warnings to them, but invitations, doors waiting to be opened. They heard of Poseidon's throne and felt not fear, but a quiet pull deep within their soul. The thought of a throne beneath the sea was not treasure, but mystery, a beacon calling softly. Many nights they sat on the shore, watching the horizon glow with the silver touch of moonlight. The sea stretched endless, yet the child felt it gaze back, a silent conversation of longing. One evening, as stars scattered like pearls, they whispered aloud, "Show me your hidden truth." The waves answered with a hush, as if listening, as if considering the courage in that voice. Dreams grew vivid, filled with visions of coral gates and halls of light beneath endless waters. Each dream felt less like fantasy and more like memory, as though they belonged to another life. The child awoke with salt on their lips, as if the ocean itself had kissed them in sleep. Curiosity became compass, pointing them not to land, but toward the unknown heart of the sea. They studied maps, though none showed the place they sought, only blank space where mystery dwelled. Elders warned gently, saying the sea takes more than it gives. But the child only smiled, for they did not seek to take, only to see, only to listen to what others ignored. Their spirit carried no greed, only a hunger for truth, pure as the tide at dawn. Even the gulls seemed to call encouragement, circling above as if marking a path unseen. On quiet afternoons, they traced shapes in the sand, thrones of coral, palaces of pearl and light. Waves erased the drawings, yet each line lived on in memory, carved deeper than the shore itself. The child grew, yet their wonder did not fade. It deepened, as constant as the turning tide. Every journey of heart begins not with steps, but with longing, and theirs was anchored to the sea. The villagers soon learned to expect their gaze lost on the horizon, waiting for whispers. They did not chase fish, nor trade goods, but carried questions heavier than any net. And though answers never came, the silence of the sea seemed to encourage patience. For patience, they learned, is its own kind of guidance, a tide that carries one farther than force. The child began to dream not of finding treasure, but of understanding balance in all things. They felt the throne was less a seat of power and more a mirror, reflecting what one carries. Thus they prepared, not with weapons or greed, but with heart open, ready to listen deeply. The ocean, vast and unending, became both teacher and companion in their silent preparation. And though they were still young, the call within them grew steady, unshaken by doubt. For somewhere beyond the veil of waves, they believed the eternal throne awaited, not as prize, but as story, not as conquest, but as truth, waiting for ears that would hear. The journey began not with sails or ships, but with footsteps along the shore, guided by unseen tides. The dreamer listened to the sea, waiting for signs, trusting whispers hidden within the rolling waves. It was then the ocean sent its first guide, a turtle old as stone, moving with steady grace. The turtle's eyes shone with patience, teaching that every journey unfolds slowly, like tides returning. Do not rush, the sea seemed to say, for the path is not straight, but curved as water flows. The dreamer walked with this wisdom, carrying silence in their heart as the waves lapped gently. One morning, a manta ray appeared, gliding near the shore, its wings wide as twilight. It circled the dreamer, then swam toward the horizon, leaving a path of shimmering silver. Following the ray, they waded into deeper water, the sea embracing rather than resisting. The manta's grace spoke of balance, of moving with currents instead of fighting their pull. It taught that strength lies in harmony, in bending with tides, not breaking against them. The dreamer held these lessons, feeling the ocean's rhythm echo within their very breath. Further still, the sea sent another guide, a pod of dolphins dancing across the waves. Their leaps painted the air, their laughter bright as bells ringing from the deep. They played near the dreamer, splashing, circling, urging them forward into the vast blue. Their joy carried meaning. Travel not with fear, but with wonder, for the sea welcomes hearts open. The dreamer laughed with them, feeling lighter, carried by joy rather than weighed by doubt. At night, whales sang in the distance, their low voices carrying across miles like thunder softened. The dreamer paused, listening, each note heavy with memory, as though the ocean itself spoke. The whales sang of time, of endless cycles, of beginnings folding into endings, endings into new dawns. Their voices urged respect, reminding that every wave carries history older than stone or star. The dreamer understood then. The guides were not leading to a place, but to a way of seeing. Patience, balance, joy, and respect. These were keys, not treasures, to open the sea's veil. Each step forward was less about distance, more about listening, more about attuning the heart. Even seagulls circling above seemed to echo the lesson, their cries sharp, their flight free. Every creature, every sound became part of a symphony, guiding the dreamer ever onward. The path was not marked on maps, but carried in song, in motion, in the silence between. One dawn, as the sky blushed with gold, the dreamer felt the sea pulse beneath their feet. The turtle's patience, the ray's balance, the dolphin's joy, the whale's wisdom wove together as one. It was as if the ocean had spoken a single word through countless voices. Trust. The dreamer breathed deep, their heart steady, no longer searching with eyes, but with spirit. For guidance was no longer outside, but within, carried like a current in blood and bone. The sea had given its gift not through directions, but through understanding. And with this gift, the dreamer stepped forward into waters deeper, vaster, yet strangely familiar. Every wave now felt like an ally, every ripple a friend, every gust a whispered blessing. The journey was no longer lonely, for the sea itself had become companion and guide. And so, with patience in heart and wonder in soul, the dreamer followed the tide onward. The tide carried the dreamer into waters unknown, where sunlight danced in silver across endless blue. Each wave seemed to whisper, urging them deeper beyond fear, into the heart of mystery itself. The sea floor revealed gardens of coral, vast and glowing, swaying gently like fields in the wind. Fish darted like living jewels, painting the water with flashes of gold, sapphire, and emerald. Every movement felt alive, part of a great song that pulsed beneath the quiet surface. The dreamer swam carefully, heart steady, breath slow, listening as the ocean guided each motion. Soon they came upon a cavern, its entrance framed by coral like gates of an ancient temple. The current stirred softly, pulling them closer, inviting rather than warning, like a friend's hand. Inside, light refracted through crystal walls, scattering rainbows across the shifting currents. It felt less like a cave and more like a cathedral, built not by hands, but by time. At its heart, a great pearl rested, glowing faintly, its surface alive with gentle shimmer. The dreamer reached out, but did not touch, bowing instead, honoring its quiet, radiant presence. The pearl pulsed, and a vision filled their mind, carried not by words, but by memory. They saw the birth of seas, waves rising, mountains sinking, as oceans claimed their eternal place. They saw Poseidon walking among the tides, shaping reefs and guiding rivers toward the sea. Not as a conqueror, but as a guardian, placing balance where chaos once reigned. The vision faded, and the cavern returned to silence, save for the soft hum of water. The dreamer understood. This was no treasure to keep, but a truth to carry within. They bowed again and left, the current releasing them, guiding onward with newfound clarity. Beyond the cavern, the ocean grew darker, the light dimming as depths pressed close around. Yet in that darkness, lanternfish glowed, tiny stars scattered in an endless midnight sky. Each shimmer reminded the dreamer that light exists even where shadows rule. They swam with trust, carrying patience, balance, joy, and respect like lanterns in their chest. The sea tested them with silence, a weight heavy and vast, pressing against their spirit. But they remembered the whale's songs, and in memory, the silence became less empty, more sacred. Every beat of their heart echoed louder, reminding them they too were part of the rhythm. Hours or days passed. Time lost its meaning beneath endless shifting waters. Until at last, the sea opened into a valley, wide and still, a kingdom of silence. At the center rose a structure vast and ancient, carved not by hands, but by eternity. Pillars of coral reached upward, arches of stone stood firm, draped in swaying seaweed. It was no ruin, but a throne room eternal, hidden where only true seekers could arrive. And there it was, the eternal throne of Poseidon, carved from shell, coral, and stone. Its surface shimmered faintly, neither gold nor jewel, but alive with the glow of the sea. No crown rested upon it, no scepter waited, only silence deep and infinite. The dreamer froze, not in fear, but in reverence, feeling the weight of what lay before them. This was not a throne of power, but of guardianship, a place of listening, not ruling. The sea swirled gently, as if waiting for the dreamer to take one more step, and with steady breath, the dreamer swam closer, heart open, soul ready to listen. For before them lay not the end of a journey, but the beginning of a truth eternal. The dreamer drifted closer to the eternal throne, each motion gentle as though disturbing silence would break it. The throne stood vast yet humble, its coral frame carved by time, not hands, alive with quiet dignity. Seaweed curled softly around its base, moving like veils in a breeze, as though guarding sacred secrets. The dreamer felt small, not unworthy, but humbled, as if standing before an ancient truth unspoken. They paused, breath steady, letting the ocean settle, waiting for a sign before stepping any nearer. The silence stretched deep, not empty, but full, as if thousands of voices whispered without words. Then a current swirled, slow and deliberate, encircling the throne like unseen hands in greeting. The dreamer closed their eyes, listening, heart open, ready to receive whatever the sea wished to share. A vision rose again, brighter and stronger, carried through currents, filling their mind with living memory. They saw Poseidon seated upon the throne, not as ruler, but as listener of waves and winds. He held no crown, no trident, only presence, steady as tides, strong as storms, calm as dawn. Around him, creatures gathered, whales, dolphins, turtles, rays, all forming a circle, not subjects, but kin. Each sang their voices into the current, weaving a harmony the sea carried across the world. Poseidon's eyes did not command, but reflected, mirroring the ocean's endless depth and sky's vastness. The dreamer understood. The throne was never meant for dominion, but for balance and listening. It was a seat for one who carried the sea's rhythm within their soul without seeking power. The vision faded, yet the meaning lingered, heavy and luminous, like stars against a dark sky. The dreamer opened their eyes and saw the throne, again waiting, silent, yet alive with presence. They did not sit, for the throne was not a prize but a promise, not possession but calling. Instead, they placed a hand upon its coral arm, feeling it pulse like a living heartbeat. The ocean surged, not in anger, but in recognition. Waves folding inward, currents wrapping close. A deep hum spread through the water, steady, resonant, filling their body with warmth and clarity. It was as if the sea itself acknowledged their patience, their respect, their willingness to listen. The dreamer felt neither chosen nor exalted, but connected, a single note within an endless song. Tears mingled with salt water, though no sadness filled them, only awe too vast for words. They whispered softly, "I am here," though the words dissolved into bubbles before reaching the surface. Yet the ocean seemed to hear, answering not with sound, but with the stillness of acceptance. The throne did not claim them, nor did they claim the throne, but a bond was sealed. One of listening, of guardianship, of walking alongside the tides rather than ruling them. The dreamer knew now. The eternal throne was not a destination, but a reflection of the seeker. Each who came before would see what they carried, their truth mirrored back by the ocean. They lingered there, hand upon coral, heart steady, letting the silence teach more than words could. Then slowly they withdrew, bowing once, not in worship, but in gratitude, a promise of respect. The throne shimmered faintly as though approving, before returning to its quiet vigil eternal. The dreamer turned away, but felt no loss, for the throne's truth now lived within them. Every current, every wave, every ripple would remind them of this moment, this vow unspoken. The sea would always guide, not through commands, but through patience, balance, joy, and respect. And so, carrying the throne within their heart, the dreamer swam outward into the waiting blue. The dreamer swam away from the eternal throne, heart heavy yet light, carrying silence as sacred memory. Behind them, the throne faded into distance, but its presence lingered like a rhythm beneath their skin. Every ripple seemed to echo its hum, reminding that the sea's truth was now part of them. The journey did not end with discovery, for truth, once revealed, asks to be carried onward. The dreamer rose through shifting currents, eyes open to wonders unnoticed before their visit to the throne. Coral no longer seemed just beauty but language, each shape a letter written by the ocean's hand. Fish shimmered not as decoration, but as dancers, each turn and leap part of a silent chorus. Even the sand carried meaning, grains shifting like pages turning in a book too vast to finish. The dreamer felt no longer stranger, but kin, woven into the tapestry of tides and creatures. When dolphins returned to swim beside them, their laughter felt like welcome rather than simple play. The manta ray passed, again, wings brushing light, its glide a reminder of balance kept within. The turtle surfaced near, slow and steady, eyes full of patience, as though asking, Have you learned? The dreamer nodded, though no words were spoken, for the answer was written in their calm. Whales sang once more in the distance, and this time, the dreamer understood their song. It was not warning nor mourning, but celebration, a hymn for balance found and carried forward. The dreamer joined silently, heart singing back, no voice needed, only presence within the current. As they swam closer to the surface, sunlight returned, breaking through waters with radiant warmth. The beams fell upon them like blessing, golden threads weaving into the ocean's deeper blue. When at last their head broke above the waves, the world seemed both familiar and new. The sky stretched wide, clouds drifting gently, gulls circling as if guardians of the shore. The village waited in the distance, roofs small yet steady, smoke curling like signals of life. For a moment, the dreamer hesitated, unsure if the words could ever carry what they had seen. The eternal throne was not tale for trade, not treasure for pride, but a truth too sacred. They swam slowly, letting waves carry them home, each motion quiet, unhurried, like the turtle's pace. Children on the shore waved, laughing, chasing gulls, their joy echoing the dolphin's endless play. The dreamer smiled softly, realizing the sea had given gifts meant not just for them. Patience to guide, balance to hold, joy to share, respect to honor, all treasures without weight. As they stepped upon the sand, the earth felt different, grounding yet humming with ocean's rhythm. Villagers gathered with questions, voices curious, eyes bright, eager for tales of distant waters. The dreamer paused, listening, remembering the throne's silence, the weight of truth within. Then they spoke not of pearls or palaces, but of patience, balance, joy, and respect. They told of how the sea listens, how its creatures sing, how harmony lives beneath every tide. Some villagers smiled, others puzzled, but children leaned closer, wide-eyed, ready to believe. The dreamer saw in their eyes the same longing once carried, seeds of wonder waiting to bloom. And so they shared not the throne itself, but its lesson, a story gentle as waves. The sea does not need rulers, they said, only listeners, guardians who carry balance within. The village listened, and though not all understood, the ocean's hum seemed to reach every ear. As night fell, the dreamer sat upon the shore once more, watching stars scatter across the sea. The eternal throne was far below, but its truth sat quietly beside them, eternal, unshaken. The dreamer's days in the village returned to rhythm, yet the ocean's hum echoed within each moment. Morning light painted the waves gold, and they watched tides rise and fall like steady breaths of the sea. Every gull's cry seemed sharper, each breeze fuller, carrying whispers only they could now understand. The village bustled with life, fishermen mending nets, children running, elders speaking softly of weather. But to the dreamer, all of it now carried a connection, woven threads binding sea and shore together. When they walked along the beach, footsteps sinking in wet sand, they felt tides follow, steady, patient. The dolphins appeared sometimes near the bay, leaping with joy, as if checking upon their human friend. Villagers laughed, pointing, saying luck followed the dreamer, though none knew the truth resting deeper. The manta ray swam close to the reef, circling slow, reminding them of balance, steady wings in silence. And sometimes at night, when stars mirrored upon calm water, whales' songs echoed faintly from afar. The dreamer closed their eyes then, listening, heart warmed by the harmony carried through endless waves. Yet with each day, they sensed a question rising, soft and insistent, like tide tugging at shore. What should they do with the throne's truth? with this bond carried now within their spirit. Was it enough to hold it quietly, or must it be shared beyond village and coast? One evening, sitting by firelight, children gathered around, eager for more tales of sea and wonder. The dreamer spoke of dolphins' laughter, turtles' patience, whales' songs, each story weaving joy and respect. Children listened wide-eyed, and even elders leaned closer, though some still smiled with quiet disbelief. Yet the sea's hum grew stronger then, flowing through their voice as if urging them to share. They realized the throne's lesson was not for one alone, but for all who live beside waters. Respect, patience, balance, joy. These were gifts to guide not just dreamers, but entire communities. The dreamer felt purpose swell within, like a tide rising beneath moon's pull, gentle yet unstoppable. The next morning, they stood upon the shore, calling villagers to gather, hearts steady with resolve. Some came curious, some hesitant, yet all formed a circle around, listening as waves rolled steady. The dreamers spoke of the throne not as legend, but as truth, written into every tide's rhythm. They told of how sea creatures embody harmony, each carrying wisdom for humans to learn and honor. They spoke of patience in the turtle, balance in the ray, joy in the dolphin, song in the whale. Their words flowed not from pride, but from bond, carried upon the same current that shaped the throne. The villagers grew quiet, thoughtful, sensing sincerity deeper than any tale of pearls or riches. One elder finally nodded, saying softly, "Perhaps the sea has chosen you to remind us of its ways." Children clapped with delight, while fishermen looked toward the horizon, eyes filled with renewed wonder. From that day, the dreamer became more than wanderer. They became a bridge between sea and shore. They guided with gentleness, teaching that fishing with respect brings more bounty than greed ever could. They showed children how to listen to waves, to find lessons in patience and rhythm of tides. And when nights grew long, they sang softly with whales' distant songs, carrying harmony into village dreams. The throne remained far below, silent and eternal, but its truth now rippled through human lives above. The dreamer felt peace, not as ending, but as beginning, a new tide carrying them onward. The seasons turned, and the village grew in harmony with sea and sky, guided gently by the dreamer's words. Fishing became more mindful, nets woven with care, taking only what was needed, leaving balance in the waters. Children learned to watch the tides, to listen for signs in waves, gulls, and the whispers of winds. The dreamer watched with quiet joy, knowing the throne's truth had begun to ripple beyond their own heart. Yet sometimes at night, when the moon painted silver paths across the ocean, questions stirred within. Was their duty only to this village? Or was the throne's call larger, spanning coasts beyond horizon? The sea's hum grew stronger on such nights, like a tide urging them outward, beyond known shores. One dawn, as gulls wheeled high, a ship appeared on the horizon, sails stretched wide against the sky. The villagers gathered, pointing with wonder, for rarely did vessels come so near their quiet home. The ship anchored, and strangers rowed ashore, faces weary yet kind, eyes curious of the village life. They carried tales of distant lands, of harbors bustling, of seas both kind and cruel to sailors. The dreamer listened, heart stirred, hearing in their words the echo of the throne's wider calling. The strangers spoke of waters troubled elsewhere, reefs fading, fish scarce, storms harsher than before. The dreamer knew then the throne's gift was not to rest in one place, but to journey outward. For balance must be shared, respect must spread, joy must ripple like waves beyond a single shore. That night, The dreamer walked along the sand, waves brushing feet, stars burning like watchful eyes. They whispered to the ocean, asking softly if leaving was betrayal or fulfillment of their vow. The sea answered not in words, but in rhythm, each tide carrying them a little farther down shore. The dolphins appeared again, circling with laughter, nudging gently as though urging them to swim farther. The turtle rose once more, slow eyes deep, reminding that journeys take time, yet must be begun. And in the distance, whales sang, their voices like farewell and welcome carried in one endless song. The dreamer knew then the answer. The throne's truth was never theirs to keep, but to share. They turned to the village the next morning, gathering everyone beneath the rising sun's warmth. Their voice was steady as they spoke of journey, of carrying lessons learned to distant waters. Some wept softly, fearing loss, while others nodded, knowing the sea had claimed the dreamer's path. The elder said gently, "The ocean gave you a gift, child. Now it asks you to carry it farther." The dreamer promised to return, though not soon, for tides carry travelers far before guiding them home. With blessing and song, the villagers prepared a small vessel, sturdy yet humble, fit for wandering seas. The dreamer stepped aboard, carrying no riches, only memory of the throne and truth within. The dolphins leapt beside the boat as it left shore, their joy a promise of companionship on the way. Winds caught the sail, waves guided the hull, and the village faded, though not from heart. Ahead lay oceans vast and unknown, shores waiting for stories, waters calling for respect and harmony. The dreamer breathed deep, feeling both fear and peace, as if balance itself sailed with them. The eternal throne remained far below, unseen, untouched, yet its spirit filled every current and breeze. And so the dreamer journeyed onward, carrying the sea's truth across horizon into the waiting world. The dreamer sailed across endless seas, each horizon unfolding new skies, new waters, and new voices of the ocean. Every shore brought lessons, every tide carried stories, and every storm whispered truths of patience and resilience. They listened as fishermen spoke of dwindling catches, teaching them to fish with respect, not hunger for excess. They watched children play by rivers, reminding them rivers are threads leading to the sea, not drains of waste. In harbors, they told of dolphins' laughter, of whales' songs, of turtles carrying centuries in quiet grace. Some laughed kindly, thinking them dreamer in name and nature. Yet seeds of thought took root in silence. Others listened with wonder, sensing in their words the hum of the ocean, as if truth spoke through them. The dreamer gave no commands, sought no followers, only shared balance, joy, patience, and respect as gifts. And slowly, like tide reshaping shore, villages began to live with gentler hands upon the sea. Boats no longer chased greed, nets were mended with care, and gratitude replaced conquest at every catch. The dreamer's journey stretched through years, yet they carried no crown, no throne, only the sea's rhythm. The eternal throne remained below, unseen, untouched, yet present in every current that cradled their path. One evening, after many seasons, the dreamer anchored by a quiet island where no maps reached. The sands were untouched, the trees whispering, and the waters shimmered as though guarding ancient memory. There, under moonlight, dolphins leapt high, turtles rested upon shore, and whales sang from distant depths. The sea felt fuller, as though all voices gathered, weaving one final harmony around the dreamer. They sat upon the sand, listening, tears soft as dew, hearts swelling with peace beyond longing. The ocean spoke, not in words, but in stillness, saying the throne lives not below, but within. It was never coral nor stone, never pearl nor crown, but a seat carried in the heart. Every listener who chose patience, every guardian who chose respect, every voice that sang with joy was throne. The dreamers smiled, closing their eyes, letting the sea's rhythm flow through, a tide eternal and kind. They knew their journey was not ending, for the throne's truth had no end, only circles like waves. Children would grow, villages would learn, sailors would listen, and the sea's hum would ripple onward. The dreamer was but one note in the ocean's song, yet every note was needed for harmony. As dawn rose, painting gold upon waters, the dreamer stepped once more into the sea's embrace. No fear lingered, only calm, for they carried home not in place, but in rhythm of tides. The dolphin swam beside, the turtle guided steady, the manta ray glided like shadow of balance. Whales sang farewell, yet also welcome, for in the ocean circle there is no true parting. The dreamer sank beneath waves, not in loss, but in union, becoming part of the song eternal. And though their vessel drifted empty, and though villages spoke of their wandering spirit, none mourned, for they had left behind truth, woven into nets, into stories, into every tide touching every shore. The eternal throne of Poseidon remained unbroken, not in depths alone, but in hearts that listened. It was never meant for one, but for all who choose to honor sea's balance and song. And so the story lingers, carried by waves, whispered by gulls, sung by whales, told by dreamers. The sea eternal, the throne eternal, the truth eternal, forever waiting, forever present, forever alive.